Welcome to the New Business Community Law Clinic's 15-minute lawyer series. We're here at this SBA in Fresno, and we're going to tell you in 15 minutes a little bit what you need to know about entities. Forming a legal entity for your business, which is a pretty good idea at the beginning if you haven't done that already. We're going to try and give you the information about the different kinds of entities that are available, though, in kind of a unique format. The idea is that trying on an entity is a little bit like trying on a suit. And so what we're going to do is try and give you a little sense of what you might look for in an entity suit for your business there. And just know that we're here every third Friday to do these legal workshops. And then afterward, if you're still around and have some interest, we do free office hours as well. So I hope you'll stick around afterward for people who are here if you need a particular legal help. So thank you, and let's get started. Welcome to the and we call this the legal tailor, by the way. Which entity will fit best for your business here? So just a caution, this does not substitute, of course, for an individual consultation with an attorney, which is always recommended. All right. So here we are at the legal tailor shop. I'm just setting up what I'm doing here. Let's see. Okay. Nice suits here. Oh, please come in. Yes. Oh. My good man, welcome to the Legal Tailor Shop, where we fit you for the entity that would work best for your business.
So, sounds good. Well, I'm starting a new business, and I think I need an entity, but there's so many choices that it's kind of confusing.
Yes, well, the law doesn't make it very easy for you, but tell me a little bit about your business.
Well, yeah, I'm a single founder, but I may want to add others in the future. I think I want something that's slim on the legal requirements and something that's not too expensive. What would be kind of the cheapest to file, or least paperwork?
Well, actually, they're all pretty inexpensive, but the cost and the paperwork and that sort of thing, that's not really the most important thing. No.
What factors should I be looking out for?
Well, actually, let me tell you about a few things. So there's 4 things really to worry about here. One thing I think I'd tell you best about first is your head. Let me look at your head a little bit here. And by that I mean what the governing structure for your business here. So let's take a look here. So you say that you're going to be potentially sharing some decision making with your colleagues?
That's right. I don't want something too constraining or stiff when it comes to structure, but I think ultimately while I would be sharing the decisions, I'd still want to be the head.
Oh, understood. Okay. Well, there's a couple ways you can do that if you are trying. Let me just see here. Would this be one here for? Yeah. Well, this might be a little stiff for you, but let's try this one on if you would. Okay. This is your corporate hierarchical structure here. Okay. So there's 2 ways you can basically do it. This is what we call the hierarchical model. It's got nice sleek lines there, and then it has this board on top of it, and then the day-to-day is run by the CEO, and then the CEO hires the employees. So that looks pretty good.
That's right. It looks really fancy, and it feels kind of stiff though, a little bit constraining.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of formalities that you have to worry about here. With corporations, you have to have a board, you have to have meetings, you have to have officers. We have to take minutes, and it is something that takes a lot of care and feeding. So I would say, not for somebody who just wants to sort of throw something on.
I see. So why do the best dressed businesses really love this stuff?
Well, you see, they like so if you're going to the Capitol Hall, okay, that would be where you want to meet maybe some venture capital. Is that the idea? Well, you see, venture capitalists, they like majority rules, so they like to have a head that then takes all of the decision making on a majority basis, that sort of thing. Now, if you are instead thinking about if instead you're thinking about more of a shared decision making structure, like I was pointing out before, well then something more like an LLC will work for you. But I don't know. Tell me a little bit more about what you mean.
Well, yeah, in terms of these factors, you mentioned like governance and decision making. That's very important. Another factor I think pretty listed was like taxation and how those.
Oh yes, the tax. Yes, I do. We have to always worry about the tax. So you have to think about how you avoid that. But capital is also the other factor that you think about here. Let me tell you a bit about the tax and how to avoid tax. So in this model here, the entity itself pays tax and reports tax to the IRS. And so then what it would be is about 21% for the federal tax, and then about 8% for the California version of the tax. And then you see what happens is then if you then do dividends, pass out dividends to your shareholders, then they have to pay tax too on 15% of that. So that's a lot of tax.
Yeah, I mean, is there a ready way to avoid those tax altogether?
Well, that would be if you have a nonprofit. I mean, these kinds of things, well, actually pass through is another thing that we'll tell you about in a minute. But to really avoid tax, you're gonna have to be a nonprofit and have like exempt purposes and things like that. So you have to actually file separate for that. So,
yeah. In terms of like this type of structure, I guess there's some protections that might be able to.
Oh yes. So again, you have to think about your head, your governing structure. You have to think about the capital that you're shopping for. You know who you want to schmooze with. Then you think about the tax. That's the third section, and then the fourth really to think about is limited liability. Now, limited liability, you know, what you think about is that this and the LLC, you know, here's the LLC right here. Now, both of these will give you limited liability lifetime guarantee, okay? But it does mean, though, that, you know, certain things could come along, you know, any fool could sue you, you know that. But there are only certain things that can get through, you know, if you, like, make a personal guarantee of some sort on a debt. If maybe you screw up and you do something personally to cause somebody harm, you know, your limited shield won't help you with that. You know, and a few other things, certainly illegal activity, commingling, if you put your funds together with your personal funds, your business. So they won't protect you with everything, but most things, yes.
I see. So it's there.
Yeah, well, so, and then I guess what I'd say is there are other arrangements that you can think about. This LLC. Yeah, I know. Let me take this out. Let's try this out. So the LLC is more like this. Now it's a little more informal, but you try this one out. Now this one, as I said, shared decision-making overview. Kind of spec. And then, I know, feels very comfy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it still looks really nice. Maybe a little less, you know, sleek as the fancy corporation kind of suit. But yeah, this still feels nice.
Well, let me tell you what you need for this. You see, the LLC, you can actually set up the things the way you want it with something like this. I mean, all you need to do is figure out what is the arrangements you want to have with your co-founders about contributions, what contributions they are going to make, and then how you distribute the profits. Okay, that's another thing you have to decide. And then the other thing is how you're going to, you know, handle the decision-making process as you go forward. But all of that is really up to you. And these things, they don't actually have to be related to each other. You can have, you know, 50% of the capital put in by you, but then, you know, and the other person puts in 50%, but you don't have to divide the decision-making that way. Instead, it could just be by expertise. Like if you have a particular expertise in a certain area, maybe you make the final decisions about it.
Yeah.
And then profit sharing, you go however you want to. So it's got a lot of flexibility to it.
Yeah, that sounds really nice. I mean, it seems like you mentioned these three factors, right? Like just decision making, but another portion would be the contributions that each member puts in, the distributions that come out. It seems like, what about in terms of like that, what if we want to change that arrangement?
Oh, well, there's no problem with that. Actually, we can fit you for another one, and it's very easy to convert.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it seems like that's the type of model that I want to go for.
Well, and this is, by the way, another good model of this is it has pass-through taxation. So what that means is that the entity itself doesn't pay tax, but that means then that the losses as well as profits can pass through, and then the individual owners pay taxes according to their income bracket. So that could be anywhere from 15% between you and me, or maybe, you know, the high rollers, they pay more like 39%.
Yeah.
So the benefit is that you can also make losses passing through too. So in an early stage of business, maybe you have some losses, then you can use those losses to offset your income when you're paying your taxes.
That's amazing.
That's a pretty good thing.
And going back to like a topic that we talked about earlier about just avoiding taxes altogether, I have heard of that, you know, special, you know, 501c3 line out of Washington.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can't do that. Well, the LLC might be able to do that. That's a little more complicated. But I don't know. What do you think? You like this LLC? I can prepare it for you.
Yeah. I think that'd be. Well, what are the steps involved there?
Well, you know, you need to work out a few things with your founders.
Yeah.
As I said, what I'm going to do is make you an operating agreement. Yeah, that helps set down then what are the decisions related to capital, what are people going to put in for capital, how are they going to distribute the profits, how are they going to make decisions. We're going to need $70 to file at the state level. You register with the state, sign that operating agreement, and then you're good to go.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I think I'll tell you. Is there any kind of other topics that we need to discuss around the the organizing of that company?
Well, yeah, you know, this is an operating agreement that everybody has to sign. Everybody should put something in because, you know, contributions are important.
There's a particular stipulation on like the purpose of the company, right?
Oh, no, LLCs can do any kind of business. As I said, they could possibly do nonprofit, but yeah, it's a little more complicated. You want a specialist to work that out for you. So here are the things you have to do. You know, file your articles of organization with the state, $70. And then you'd also want to register with your local county and city. That costs you just a little bit of money. But we have the information here on what Fresno requires. So.
Thanks so much.
All right. Well, I can get this ready for you next week. Just let me know when you be in the area next, and I'll have this ready for you.
Okay. Slide.
Oh, please come in. Oh.
Hi,
Good
I need to be
afternoon.
fit for a Delaware Corporation.
Oh, gee. Well, we can definitely do that for you. But tell me a little bit more about the business that you have.
Well, everybody is gonna love it. It is a Fitbit for dogs, and we're also gonna have a social mission. 10% of our sales is gonna go towards supporting no-kill shelters.
Oh, really? Yeah, good. Well, we could fit you for the Delaware Corporation, but you know what that is for is primarily is for when you are seeking venture capital. You're going to look for some venture capital.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking for capital from anyone and everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounds pretty good. Now, are you going to be having that? Are you going to be getting that venture capital within the next year or two?
I mean, we still need to build our prototype, so we want to make a really big one for a Mastiff, maybe a teeny one for a Chihuahua, but we don't have any money, so we don't have a prototype yet.
Oh, I see. Okay. And then will you be operating in will you be operating in Delaware?
Oh, definitely not in Delaware. We're only going to be working in California.
Oh, okay. Well, you understand. You see, in Delaware and California, I mean, I could fit this for you. And by the way, it would be something like, I don't know, like this thing here. Maybe this would be the right thing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's try this one. Yeah, good. Okay, so, yeah. So as you see, it's a little, stiff, a little hierarchical there. It looks good when you go. I mean, I guess what I'd say is, see, if you go and you form in Delaware, but then you're operating in California, one thing about that is you have to pay both states' taxes. Yes, the taxes, franchise fee in the state of Delaware, the franchise fee in the state of California. And now you also have to be on top of both states' laws. So you're going to have a lawyer who understands both of them like that. It's not for everybody, but I guess.
Is there a way to cut that down?
Yeah. Well, let me suggest this to you. Try this out. Thank you. The California brand is not so bad. In fact, venture capitalists do actually like this. Let me go back here. I'm sorry. So venture capitalists. Let me see. Which one was it here? Where's the? I'm not sure if I have another one. Oh, is it this one? No. Oh, this one here. Yes. Okay. California. Yes. This is the California model here. Now, eBay wears this really well, and Apple too. So venture capitalists, do like the California label too. So what this means is then you would only have California taxes. You would only have California filings and laws to stay on top of.
Right.
So I don't know. I think this. What do you think?
Nice. I like it. It's not as formal. It's still really comfortable.
Yeah. Well, California. I mean, there are a couple other options for you. Now, did you say you had sort of social?
Yes.
mission?
So that's what I was going to ask about. What about the social mission of supporting the no-kill shelters? That's a big part of what we want.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it wouldn't work if you were doing Fitbits, something like that. I mean, Fitbits. There's no social mission in that. But what you described to me, that was good. I mean, But anyway, so for what you have in mind, the no-kill shelters, well, there's a couple ways to sort of sew that in the line. Yeah, so I could work on that and create in your organizational document a second purpose, which would be to not only create wealth, but also to do this, animal adoption thing.
Okay.
Yeah, which is very good. Now, there's a couple ways to do that. You could do a social purpose corporation, or you could do a B corporation, either one. They're very similar.
Okay.
But it just means that in your articles of incorporation, I would put in that you have this mission to help no-kill shelters, adopt dogs and things like that. And what that means is then your shareholders couldn't sue you down the way if you weren't maximizing profit.
Okay.
Both issues are very important.
Right. So I think that California social purpose corporation with maybe entity level taxation sounds good.
Okay.
What is the process for getting that done? How soon can it be done?
Oh, well, that's very easily done. Oh, I should have mentioned there is the one other option.
Okay.
So sometimes for-profit corporations then will affiliate with non-profit corporations.
Okay.
So this would be something like, maybe you've heard of Newman's Own. Newman's Own, yeah. So what they do is they have a for-profit, like a pasta company, and then they have a nice non-profit that then takes the profits and then puts that out in the foundation, to different causes and stuff. And that's something that I always thought Paul Newman wore that really well. So, but anyway, that's another option.
Okay.
If you like that.
Okay.
So what are you thinking? Now, if you're still thinking the corporation, you make sure you know formalities. Maybe you know about these. So you have to have your board minutes. You have to have board directors appointed. You have to have officers.
Right.
So it's not for everybody.
Okay.
Do
Okay.
you think you can handle it?
Yeah. Well, we've been thinking about that. I think that's something we're still interested in doing. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I can set this up for you pretty quickly. It's California Corporation. You set it up with filing articles of incorporation.
Okay.
Those are $100 with the state. And then I'll prepare bylaws, which you have to have approved at your first board meeting.
Okay.
So your articles of incorporation will have their incorporator, who will name the first board. Then you have your first board meeting.
Okay.
And then there you approve your bylaws, you set up your separate accounts, where you don't want to commingle like that. And then you're ready to go. Pretty much. Oh, you have to issue shares and then have a shareholder agreement. I'll put all this paperwork in.
Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you so much.
Oh, very good. I'll have this ready for you. Yes.
I should give you.
I have it for you next week.
Okay. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Very good. Let me see. Think about this for a second. Fitbits. Fitbits for. Hey, what do you think, guy? Maybe. Hey, what do you think? Hey, we could develop something. This is good. Okay. Thank you very much. Just wonder if you had any questions going forward from our audience, maybe?
My name is Santiago Guevara. Thank you for having me. I think more or less kind of to find out if the LLC will fit into going back to things.
We can pitch you for one.
and back into international marketing.
Ah, interesting. Well, I think the main thing to think about for the LLCs, of course, there's lots of LLCs out there and engaged in import and export and such like that. The only drawback to the LLC really is the capital that you might need to raise. And the problem with LLCs is, and the benefit of LLCs is that it's formed by an agreement between people. And so and this would be by the investors and the founders, okay? But then if you wanted to bring in new capital, everybody would have to agree. That means, you couldn't do majority rule kind of thing. And that's one thing that venture capitalists don't like. They don't like to not be wanted. Let's put it that way. So as long as
but that really all will be on the bylaws.
The operating agreement, that's what an LLC is governed by. It's their agreement. But again, everyone has to agree. It's not like you could say only 51% agree. It's got to be everybody. So as long as everybody's on board with it, then that could still happen.
The reason I mentioned international because in the plan that I'm working, hopefully, it's going to be like a franchising.
Oh, okay, very good. See, an LLC, what's interesting about that with the franchise model is that with a corporation, you would have to have a separate agreement for the franchising of, this other company is going to follow our laws and be governed, have the same branding and other things like that. You could actually just write that into the LLC operating agreement and not even need a separate agreement. You could have all of our people that are part of the operating agreement agree to the following branding and other things like that. So it'll be actually a little easier, I think, to set up franchising with an LLC. And yeah, what do you think? What else are you thinking about?
Well, actually, okay, going back to the LLC, I'm kind of a little bit familiar, not exactly familiar, but I heard of Delaware to put it the LLC over there is cheaper than California. I don't know if it's true.
Well,
also, there's a case in Nevada.
Okay.
So
Well,
I don't know in California.
It's very interesting. Well, one thing you should know is that California, if you are operating in California?
Yeah, I have to start here. Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, if you're operating in California, California always wants you to be paying their franchise tax.
Of course.
And that means that anybody who's doing significant business in the state, even if they're formed in another state, has to pay this franchise tax. And so I guess the benefit, again, from Delaware to California is that Delaware has these business-friendly courts that investors tend to like, that the venture capitalists really like. And so, sure, if you think that's the place you need to get your capital from, yeah, having your foot in both places will be a benefit to, in the long run, pay off the extra problems or the extra costs that you have there. Now, just note that, like Nevada, for example, yes, maybe they don't have a corporate tax. Maybe they don't. Maybe you would say some taxes if you were just operating in Nevada. But since you are operating also in California, California is going to hit you with that tax bill.
But not Nevada.
And so Nevada, even if you saved in Nevada, you'd still have the California stuff. So it may not really benefit you to be in Nevada. I think it could benefit you to be in Delaware if you want to shop for that kind of capital. Yes.
Okay. So that would be then the choice would be between Delaware and California.
Yes, and then you could set up, if you wanted to, this more flexible entity, the LLC. You could set that up in Delaware. Okay. Again, operate here. And one of the benefits in Delaware is, yeah, you'd have those two costs that you were talking about. However, if you formed an LLC in Delaware, it's easily converted into a corporation through just a little paperwork in Delaware. So many people will think, well, maybe in these early stages, yeah, I want something a little more flexible, operating agreement where we can change it now and then, that's fine. But then when a venture capitalist comes along, they're gonna say, no, we want you in a corporation. You can just simply use a quick little paperwork thing and suddenly you're a Delaware corporation. And then you got all those benefits. So.
Okay, tell me about the trademark.
Trademark. Well, I haven't talked about that here, but that's all right, trademark.
Yeah, because that's part of the service that I'm thinking about.
Okay. Well, trademark, remember what trademark is it's a sound, maybe a name, maybe a logo, something that signifies your business, all right? And here's the thing, do you have like a name or do you have a brand?
Yes, it's already registered. The business is registered. This is just, I need to pursue a little more further than that.
Okay. Well, just make sure that it's registered at the U.S. Trademark Office. Because remember, when you put your business together, your LLC or your corporation, yeah, that'll have a name. That'll be okay with the state of California or whatever state you have. But that doesn't mean it's trademarked.
Right.
When it's trademarked, that means it's registered with the USPTO office. Usually costs about $300 for a simple trademark. And by the way, you could trademark it in California, but that would only mean you'd have the protection in California, like that. So I wouldn't bother with the state trademark thing. Now, if you haven't registered it, then just so you know, you do have if you've been using it though, you do have a little bit of protection if nobody has actually trademarked it at the national level. You can have trademark protection within sort of your normal geographic area. So maybe Fresno County.
But that won't help me. Because what I have is not.
Yeah, you need a national like that. So yeah, so I would definitely say if you haven't already filed for your federal trademark.
Not yet. That's what I'm here to find out exactly
Sure, we can
what.
tell you about that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fairly easy process. We actually have a nice PowerPoint that walks you all the way through it. Yeah, well, without a lawyer. So, and again, it'll take about $300 to do at least a simple trademark name.
That would be,
name and
excuse me,
logo.
that would be national
It
or
would be
international
national and it'd be international too. Once you file it with the U.S. Trademark Office. Yeah.
for the $300?
Most international. Well, anybody who signed on to is the Madrid or protocol.
Yeah, but you still have to then pay for.
It's
Europe.
like simultaneous filing.
Oh,
Yeah.
someone was filing, but you have to pay extra for Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can definitely talk to you about that individually.
But if you'll be in China, potentially,
Mhm.
you might want to go there first because somebody else could get the name there, even though you have it in Europe and here
Mhm, it's a lot. Mhm.
and Latin America.
So we can definitely connect you with a good trademark lawyer if you like.
Well, I have an attorney. I just want to find out.
Oh, sure.
No, more or less, I kind of already. I'm working on this for the last 3 years.
Oh, okay. Very good. Well, we're happy to stay around afterward if you have some questions and such. So.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I think we're finished up. But do come back, see us on third Friday. We also do first Friday. If you want to check on our Facebook page, we televise from Merced on the first Friday of the month, and from here, third Friday of the month. Or come down and see us, Merced Venture Lab on first Friday, and down here at the SBA and the Hispanic Chamber on third Friday. So, thank you very much.